My sad story about losing my virginity. It was 2008, and I'm in the ninth grade. The last bell rang the sound of freedom to start the weekend. I walk out into the hallway, and my girlfriend's best friend hands me a note and swears she didn't read it. I get seated on the bus, and I open the folded note that I still today have next to me. Quote, I want you to come see me at my house tonight. I will text you when my parents are asleep. My brother is staying the night at his friend's house, so we can have some alone time. Love, Grace. XOXOXO. We were going to be together forever because we had fallen in deep love through our 2-month relationship. We got detention for kissing in the hallway. Our MySpace pic was us kissing. We called each other every night and had phone sex the night before, so I'm hoping in my mind that tonight she wants the real deal. As soon as I get home, I get into my dad's truck and steal all the change out of the cup holder and the half pack of Marlboros from the passenger seat. I Google how to have sex, how to turn a girl on, how to please a girl in sex, how you know if a girl is horny. I was 15, of course. I'd watched plenty of porn and wasn't completely dumb to the idea of sex, but wanted to have knowledge because I was a virgin as Grace was too. At 7:30, I put my earphones in and play My Chemical Romance on my iPod Nano, light up a cigarette, and start riding my skateboard into town. Flipping my long hair so I could see, I head into a gas station and grab a box of condoms and lay them on the counter and start counting out $3.85 or something like that with my quarters, dimes, and pennies. Yes, I was broke. A voice behind me said, at least you're buying those and not diapers. I turned around, and it's Grace's dad's police officer friend that came over to drink beer with him. I panic and come up with, yeah, I heard you can fill them with enough water to fill an entire bathtub. He laughs and says, yeah, and they would keep me from arresting Grace's dad when he knocks you out for getting her pregnant, too. I begin to really panic and leave the gas station thinking about what would happen if he told Grace's dad. We would have to break up, and I wouldn't lose my V-card to my hot girlfriend I masturbated thinking about every night for the past 2 goddamn months. Enough meeting at the skate park, French kissing for 2 hours a night, leaving with a boner hard enough for a blacksmith to use as an anvil. I was ready to pound it into this chick and be with her forever. She was all I thought about. I had her name carved into the grip tape of my skateboard, and her notes that smelled like her perfume in my Vans shoebox under my bed. She borrowed my hoodie and wore it during school, and it smelled like her when I got back. Holding her hand everywhere we went, we always had fun times that I still smile about to this day. Quote, they are asleep. Let me know when you get here. I sneak to her window and she opens it. I climb through the bush and hop there. Grace's bedroom smelled like perfume and burnt hair. Deftones playing on the radio just loud enough where her mom wouldn't walk down the hall to ask her to turn it down. She's wearing a tank top and short shorts, done her makeup and straightened her hair for me. Looked so beautiful, her eyes were looking into mine, her hands shaking as were mine. We lay on her bed and start making out, leading to the first time we had sex. I may sound like a pervert for saying it now, but F me, it was amazing. She looked incredible, and we enjoyed each other. When we are done, I shove the used condom in my pocket, and we kiss for an hour, and we sneak out to smoke. I kiss her and tell her I will call her when I get home. I get home and try calling her and get voicemail every time. I texted her saying, I love you. I left the condom wrapper in your floor somewhere. Get rid of it. And don't get a response until 2 hours later saying, come back over. I try calling again and get voicemail and get a text saying, phone keeps hanging up. Just come over, baby. So I say, okay, wait by your window. When I get there, I sneak up to the window and can hear Grace screaming at her mom. I get ready to hide on the side of the house when I'm slammed into the ground and held down. Boy, if I ever see you around my daughter again, I will beat the S out of you. Get the F out of my yard. He picks me up and pulls me by the arm until we are in the road and shoves me and makes me fall. I look back and see him pick up my skateboard and sling it way above me, and it hits the road far away from me. I grab it and I skate like I had an effing tiger chasing me. The next morning, my mom and dad bang on the bedroom door and told me they got a call from Grace's parents and told me they found a condom wrapper and that I'd been making her smoke cigarettes with me. An embarrassing argument ended up being no laptop and no phone for an effing month. Grace's parents pulled her out of public school, and her best friend passed notes for me and Grace, telling how much we love each other and we will figure out a way to see each other. But we didn't. She switched to a private school, and her parents watched her like a hawk. Grace's friends stopped giving me notes for a week, and one day she tells me Grace wants to break up. As soon as I get home, I grabbed the house phone and called her crying, convinced her mom to hand Grace the phone. She is crying too, explaining that her mom found the notes and wanted us to end it until her dad grabbed the phone and said goodbye and hung up. When I finally get my laptop and phone back, I cry listening to the voicemail she sneaked, crying in all of them, telling me she loves me and she never wants to lose me. I was heartbroken through all this, and to this day believe her parents effing overreacted. I discovered she ended up with a preppy boy a year later when I added her when Facebook became a thing. Had a few photos of her sitting on the couch with him and was dressed completely different. Her music interests were effing pop music. Her parents approved of this Sorry, it's what we refer to them as, and I had to move on. Grace's parents molded her into the perfect girl they wanted, and I stayed the same. Our paths just split. All because the cop asshole called her dad and told him about seeing me buy the condoms and didn't like me because I was busted ding-dong ditching with friends last year. My wife made me get rid of all the notes, but I kept a few. So that is my virginity/lost love story. I hope it occupied your time, and if it didn't, back out and don't be a downvote douche. Writing this gave me nostalgia. Please respect that. I pooped myself on a camping trip with my girlfriend. Back in 2017, my friend Dylan and his girlfriend Leah invited me to go on a camping trip with them, and I invited my girlfriend Tori to come along, and she said yes. We'd only been dating for a little over 2 months, but I didn't think it would be too awkward since we recently started sleeping together, and she had hung out with Dylan and Leah a few times. We all wanted a real camping trip and chose Red River Gorge in eastern Kentucky. We hiked up a hill way out in the woods and found a good spot where people had set up camp before. I brought a 2-person tent and blankets to make a sleeping pallet, and Dylan brought his 4-person tent along with an inflatable mattress for them and their German Shepherd, Teddy. I felt like a cheap bastard watching them inflate it while I explained to Tori that I spent $140 on all the stuff I bought, and I was broke. She told me she didn't care, as long as she was with me. We got everything set up, started a campfire, and started drinking Jim Beam and Coke while the girls made bullfrogs with their Kool-Aid and vodka. We roasted hot dogs and s'mores and talked about family camping trips, party stories, and whatnot. I was glad to see Tori laughing and having a really great time. I held her and glanced up at the stars through the trees a few times, thanking God I had her. Everyone got pretty drunk, and Dylan had finished a 5th of the whiskey, and I was sweating like a whore in church because it was so humid. Around 1 a.m., we were in our tents, and me and Tori had a wild sweat-drenched sex session and slept in our underwear because it was so muggy inside the tent. I woke up around 5 a.m. with my stomach cramping like hell. I clenched my eyes and bit my tongue, trying not to moan out in pain and wake up Tori. I put my clothes on, crawled out of the tent, stood up, and dug out a roll of toilet paper from the bags between the tents and ran into the deep brush. I tripped on a tree root and dropped the effing toilet paper and it rolled down the hill. I started running back to get another roll and couldn't handle the pain anymore. I tried to let out a little fart and felt warm juice squirt out. F me, F, please, no, I said as I pulled my shorts and boxers down to examine them with the light from my phone. There was brown chili-looking S all in my boxers, like pulling over and opening your smoking car hood and you know your engine is effed. I quickly pulled my boxers off, squatted down to finish my intensely messy S that sounded like pouring a bucket of wet sand on the leaves and felt so much better. I tossed my boxers away from the trail and heard someone walking down from the campsite. I freaked out because I had S all over my legs, and on one of my hands, it smelled like an effing porta potty in the middle of summer. It ended up being the dog, Teddy. I shooed him away and used the bandana wrapped around my forehead to wipe my butt and tossed it. I sneaked back to the campsite and cleaned up with a bar of soap and a bottle of water with the dog awkwardly watching me the entire time, and decided to sacrifice my deodorant stick and rub it all over my skin and down my butt crack to mask the horrid smell. I went back to the tent, cuddled up to Tori, and went back to sleep. We woke up to Leah screaming. We got out of the tent and saw Teddy running out of their tent with her screaming, "What the F, you nasty GD dog?" We walked over and asked what was wrong, and Leah told us Dylan's stupid dog dragged her underwear into the tent full of S, and she had it on the back of her shirt and all over the mattress. Tori was disgusted and looked away while Dylan got out and went to find a stick. I was panicking, hoping Tori wouldn't see my American Eagle boxers, and told her, "That's so sick, I don't want to see them," and hoped she would follow me back to the tent. But she didn't. She ignored me and stood there while Dylan held the baby blue boxers on the end of the stick, dripping drops of poop on the ground, holding his nose as he put them in a Walmart bag. I stood there and saw Tori looking at my waist out of the corner of my eye with a fake disgusted shocked look on my face and not one on hers. "Whose effing underwear is it?" Leah asked, looking at me and Dylan. We both denied it was ours, and I suggested it was someone who previously camped here. "Yeah, well, it seemed pretty effing fresh to me. I'm a CNA, trust me, I know." Tori was completely quiet while the two fought about the dog always being into something, and Leah threatening to leave Dylan if he didn't get rid of Teddy. I tried to keep my poker face on while Dylan poured water on Teddy and scrubbed with his toothbrush to get the S out of the fur because, of course, the dog rolled in the S. There was no way in heck I was going to admit that I S'd myself. I had a feeling Tori knew it was mine because even though it was dark, I'm sure she saw my boxers when my shorts sagged. Leah would effing kill me if I said it was mine after having to throw away her shirt and go through all of that. We ate breakfast, packed up, stopped to fill up on gas, and started driving back home. Tori was very quiet and funny acting towards me. She randomly says, I would be pretty mad if I woke up to the smell of those underwear. But I would understand that someone got sick, and stared at me. I took a deep breath and admitted I got sick, and did not ever think of the dog getting to them when I threw them in the woods. She asked me why I didn't own up to it, and I told her I was too embarrassed to. We didn't have sex for 2 weeks, and she acted funny around me. A month later, she got really drunk from mixing brandy and gin, essed all over herself, and puked her guts up in my bathroom and was too drunk to clean herself up. She was laying on the floor crying, so I picked her up, put her in the bathtub, and cleaned the S and puke from the toilet and floor, then bathed her like a real boyfriend would do. She told me she understood why I was too embarrassed to own up to my SE boxers.